Hey, if you're here, if you're out there, can you go ahead and leave a message so I can see that someone's here before I get started? We got some storytelling to do today. If you're here, go ahead and leave a comment. Just got to know I'm not talking to myself today. Hey, who's here? Okay, I got a couple comments. Hey, Blue Alexander. Hey, Andrea. Okay, good. It's enough for me. All right, guys. So this actually came about because I was actually doing my real estate investing coaching, and the guy just started asking me questions about, things going on in spiritual topics, and we got sort of deep into it, and it was such a good talk that I was like, I gotta share this one. I gotta share this one with the audience. Hey, Anna Marie. Yeah, I just, I finally got someone else to dye my hair instead of doing it myself. I like it. I appreciate that. Hey, Katisha. Right. And it's sort of deep. And it blew his mind. It was the truth. But I wanted to share it because it's okay for us to start talking about agendas and programming. We're not getting the same responses we used to. And I want to tell you a couple stories that happened that got to that. So let me just start with the story and where that leads to, because it was sort of how we got to this point. So I took my daughter to the bounce house. That's like a place with a like Surge, it's called. It has like a whole bunch of trampolines. You pay $8. They bounce themselves to death. They go to sleep. They're not bouncing all over your house. It's a good deal for $8. Oh, thank you. I like it too. I like it too. Right. And so they go $8. You go there. And when I went inside, I get inside and there's music playing. Now, the last time I went, it was just regular, like, music that you'll hear on like John Tesh's thing, music for everyone. But I went in this time and it was rap music. And so I was listening to it because you guys know there's all levels of rap music, right? Like, I don't mind blasting Tobe Okachuka, whatever his name is, Tobe. I don't mind blasting him. He gets a little rough, but most part, it's very uplifting for women. It's very uplifting for men, and it's very spiritual and exoteric. So you guys should look up Tobe out of Houston if you haven't yet. I just found out about him like a lame, but he's amazing, right? So not all rap is the same, but this one was just like, it was bad. I think as soon as they started talking about snorting cocaine or something like that, I'm like, no. No, it is not because I'm a Karen. It's not because of anything other than I am aware of the programming. I'm aware of it both racially, and I'm aware of the programming spiritually. You are not going to have a light warrior like me come in this space listening to that, knowing the spell casting and the programming and the agenda now without saying something. Right? So it's not just because it's bad, it's because it's part of an entire agenda. I don't need to go into the agenda. You know that they only produce certain music for certain types for Black community. They only distribute certain types of artists that has the most negative of negative lyrics. That is all part of both spiritual warfare and it's part of racial warfare, which is actually part of the spiritual warfare. And we're going to go into this because some of you guys haven't watched my other video about melanated people and how powerful we really are, and why white supremacy was implemented to keep us from the power. So we're going to go into that as well. So not because it's just like, I don't like cuss words. No, it's just, first of all, it is negative and it shouldn't be in an all sort of mix. It shouldn't be a mixed company, I was about to say, but honestly, it shouldn't be in Black company. And I know we grew up with that stuff and parents were pretty lackadaisical about it. Not in my house. My parents were like, you ain't listening to that. But, in other households, it was acceptable, but this is a new day and age, and we're just not having that. So I go out, so I listen enough to know it wasn't like a fun, like whatever. It was like, no, you're not going to talk about doing drugs and shooting. No, we're not doing that. So I remember I went up to the boy at the cashier. He was like maybe a 17-year-old Black kid, a male, And this 16-year-old Black female was up there too. And so I go and I'm like, hey, can you guys change the music? Because this rap music is really low vibrational. And they were like, oh, okay, I'm sorry, man, I'm sorry. But then I didn't stop there. I was like, because you do realize that's part of the programming and the agenda, right? That's programming you. And it was interesting because back in the day when you talk about programming and agenda, it was all a conspiracy. But what I was actually surprised to see was maybe, I don't know, he felt my energy or something. The look in his eyes was like, no, you're right. Not in a way where like it was fake. I actually really thought he understood what I was talking about. And there was a 16-year-old girl who sort of listened, because whenever you have something to say or complain or ask them to do something, so everyone else wants to sit and listen just in case it doesn't go crazy. I actually saw her nodding her head too. And it was funny because I was talking to the guy who's coaching for real estate investing. And he was like, dang, the fact that you mentioned the programming stuff and the agenda stuff, what made you do that? And I was like, okay, good question. So here's the deal. So I'll go through this relatively quickly, but it's all about like, and if you haven't watched my video, I have a video called Melanated People Are Here to Save White People. I would actually go watch it, because the white supremacy and racism is mixed in with the spiritual warfare. And I'm also going to tell you, because they don't want people like me helping you to find out how powerful us melanated people are, because then they are no longer in control. Okay. And I know this because they be sending people after me, right? But we take care of it. And I'm going to tell you about that story too that happened a couple days ago. Because yes, they are watching people like me who are empowering melanated people. And all of that goes together. So I was like, well, here's the deal. Back in the day when I used to say programming or agenda, the response I would get from people is just like, what, are you some conspiracy theorist? But now when you tell people that, and I want you guys to start noticing, no one's going to call you a conspiracy theorist anymore. Not only that, they might start asking you questions about what you know, because there is an awakening process going on. And I think that we need to press our advantage with that. And don't be shy to start talking about the programming and the agenda and the spiritual warfare against us. Because unlike, and just something intuitively told me that this is just what's happening. And you can see it on social media, the awakening. But yeah, now's the time where we can actually start talking about this. There's been so much media, so much exposure, where they're not going to call you a crazy nutcase. So all the people who took the COVID V shot, right? Before, all these people who were like, they thought we were just weirdos who didn't believe in science or didn't care about other people. But now they're actually starting to listen and wonder. And, I'm even getting emails about something's not right. So this is the time where we can actually start talking about programming and agenda, and people will actually listen. Young Black kids, because we are some of the most programmed, manipulated people on the planet, okay? And you need to be aware of this, because if you're not aware of how intentional they are towards you, the things that you're going to pass off by coincidence is them spelling you, them programming you, them manipulating you. And they've actually, I hate saying this, they've done a really good job. Now that I can see what I couldn't see before, it's a masterpiece, absolute masterpiece. And I hate saying that because I don't want to give power to that. But whoa, like, so it was funny. He was like, you're comfortable telling people it's an agenda and program? Because I don't know if I'd go to a young kid and like, I might tell them to change the music. But I don't know if I'd go into the agenda and the programming, and that seeps into your psyche and that creates a reality. I don't think I would have went into that. And it was interesting. I was like, the reason I go into it is because of two things. And it goes back to being a melanated light worker, because we are the most powerful people on this planet, but not if we don't know it. Okay. I said there's two things that got me to this point and why I speak on it now more so than ever, in addition to people waking up. One is because I started really understanding racism and what was happening with this and why it was here, and white supremacy. And I'm also aware of the spiritual warfare going on against us. And I'm understanding why it's specific to the melanated people, right? And I was like, when it comes to the racism, I actually learned this by chance because my ex-husband is a white man. Now, hangs out with Black people, loves me, still loves me. We're divorced. We still love each other. Will do anything for me. Said I didn't have to work. Literally, I'm not even married to him. And he told me last week I'm still on his life insurance plan because, I'm the mother of his child. And he wants to make sure his child, and he respects me, right? Just because you're divorced doesn't mean it's messy. We're not those type of people. No drama. So it wasn't like I was in some situation where I took whatever I can get. No, I was an asset to him and he was an asset to me, right? I still love his family. Sent my daughter out there last year and his white mom and auntie took her to the Juneteenth festival. They didn't ask me. They were like, you were going. All right. Those are the kind of Caucasian people I married into. I still like them to this day. So I don't want you thinking it's anything weird going on that relationship. But the funny thing is that as much as he loved me, I really learned by living with him that he could not see racism. So he could love his Black wife, loved his biracial. He couldn't see it. And not in a mean way. Did he treat me bad? No, he treated me great. We had differences on growth and responsibilities and all those other things that caused a separation. But no, treated me pretty well. And I realized, wow, even if they love a Black person, lives with them, devoting their life, taking care of them, they cannot see the racism in this society because of how it's so layered. And actually that was freeing. You would think like I don't hate white people. No, I just understand that unless they've done the deep work and they've done the anti-fragility, they've picked up the books about white supremacy and me, unless they've done the work on all of that. And if you're a white or non-melanated, you're watching this is not the time for you to be defensive. It's the time for you to really listen and see if the truth that I'm speaking resonates somewhere deep inside of you without the defense. Because that's your greatest test is racism, because it ties into the spiritual warfare and it ties into why we're here. Okay. Why we're still here and you're still here and why I came down to this earth. All right. So it made me realize that you can be a great person who is white in this world or in this country, especially, and still not see the racism. Even if you love the person who's Black next to you. Not in a mean way, doesn't mean they treated you wrong or whatever, but I saw that they literally, unless they do the work, don't have the capacity to see what I can see, what you can see. They cannot see it. Y'all saw it took George Floyd dying on camera for 8 minutes for a lot of them to wake up, right? It took that. Think about it. And this is what I learned about 4 or 5 years ago. And so when I learned that, and so my platform is on my real estate investing side, I teach Black professionals how to invest in Black neighborhoods. Like I just was very clear. My mission is to help the Black community, empower the Black community, financially, spiritually, whatever. These are my people. This is what I'm here for. So if I learn something, I learn a skill, I'm going to give it right back to them. If they want to learn it, I will show them how to tap into that power, be it whatever vehicle that I am blessed to like receive information on. So that's what I learned. And it was actually freeing because then I realized, why am I sitting here arguing with so many people who are non-melanated? Why am I arguing? Because I realized they don't, unless they do the work, which George Floyd was telling them to do the work, right? Do the work for your sake, okay? Unless they've done the work, they don't even have the capacity to understand what we're going through. They don't see it. They don't understand it. And racism is literally passed down epigenetically, literally passed in DNA. So then it was freeing. So then I was like, okay, once I realized that racism and the white supremacy, it made me realize that, and then that tied into, so it just made me realize like, let's stop focusing on them and start focusing on us. Because if I can talk and talk and talk and not get anywhere, what did that save? But if I can focus on us, I can change us. And you know, what did Gandhi say? You know, be the change you want to be. I can't talk to them to death. I don't have enough hours in a day, nor the tolerance to do that at this point, to show them I just don't. And I also understand unless they do the work themselves, which is everything in spirituality, it's your work to do. It's not going to do anything. It was so freeing because I was like, I'm no longer going to sit here and argue and debate and try to wake up a white person to the racism and white supremacy in this world. Just not going to do it. I'm not going to be in their spaces. I'm not going to try to argue with them. I'm not going to try to show them the light. I'm going to focus on me and us. You might have noticed in the last few years, I've gotten way more vocal about who I'm here to serve, right? Melanated. Of course, not everyone in my audience that I serve and help is melanated. There are people, though, who generally have done the work, so they don't get defensive when I talk about this. They understand I've done the work and understand exactly where I'm coming from. and if you're that person, I'm more than happy to help you in any way I can. Okay. So then where does the white supremacy and racism come from? Well, that comes into the spiritual warfare. Okay. So and this is all going into why I cannot be silent when this is going on, because now I'm aware. So once I'm aware of this racism, like why it was passed down, then it goes to the spiritual warfare. If you watch my video on Black melanated people are here to save white people, there is literally like Christ is Black. They made him white to institute white supremacy. Us being the melanated beings is like a clear sign that we're starseeds, or that we're at a higher frequency spiritually in this body. Now, it doesn't mean we're the highest frequency people in the world, but it does generally indicate that we are starseeds, not necessarily the earth souls who were made and created to be slaves. Well, the white supremacy makes sense because if you had a group of people who are melanated and they are powerful, if we all stepped into our power, right, they couldn't continue to enslave the earth population the way they have and keep them enslaved, because we would wreck the system. Okay. And so white supremacy was instituted. Jesus was turned into a white guy. Jesus came down to save them, sanctified in the blood of Christ. And yeah, exactly. And Ashira Star Goddess is the one that sort of showed me this. And then I channeled it and I was like, what? That's real? What else is real? Oh my God. And I went down this rabbit hole of finding out all this information. But it completely makes sense now that you know. The white supremacy and racism that's being passed down, that they don't have the capacity unless they do the work themselves. And FYI, 2020 was telling them, you better do the work. Punishment's coming if you don't. And George Floyd and his sacrifice spiritually, that was for you guys. So you better learn, because we are in punishment season. And I don't know. I think some feel like they're being punished right now because things ain't going the same way they used to. All right. So Jesus being shown as a white man, why? Because this man who had such an impact on all these people were shown to be Black, this white supremacy couldn't go on. It couldn't be rooted. It couldn't be the way that it is right now. We were all supposed to intermingle, and you were supposed to get some of this melanated blood. Like my daughter who's biracial, that family's fulfilling its contracts to get the melanated blood that they were supposed to. Okay. And not just that, and so what I'm saying about the spiritual warfare, they don't want us empowered. And so with white supremacy and Jesus being white, all of that makes it so we're not necessarily intermingling at the higher weight that we can. They're not necessarily getting the melanin. They're not necessarily raising their vibrations high enough to be able to escape the matrix when they die and leave this lower sphere and get to those higher dimensional spaces. And if we weren't to empower ourselves as the melanated beings, they couldn't do that, because they'd walk around like me, like, I'm not scared of your racism. Doesn't scare me anymore. I'm not scared of your white cops who are racist. You are not going to touch me. And if you do, you will regret it, because I'm so tuned in spiritually and powerful spiritually that I know that oversees anything in this 3D space, right? You guys already heard about my dragons and my ancestors and shoot, angels and like what? Like my power animals, like what you want, right? Like I've seen it happen. I've done numerous videos on how I walk in this world. And so all of that ties in. The racism that they need to get out, that's part of their learning lessons in their journey. And the spiritual warfare, like the melanated being is being deliberately kept in the lower chakra, deliberately kept in low vibration, deliberately kept in survival, deliberately kept in low vibrational activities and thinking and mindset. Because if we ever get out of that program, and would it have been this way naturally? No, they had to do this level of programming to get us to the point where we destroy each other. They had to do it, and that's what they are doing. I was just watching a video on a guy, and he was saying that researchers had ants who work really well together, and they were like, what can we do? Can we put a chemical in the ants' atmosphere, right, that makes the ants turn and kill each other? And they did experiments, and they found that they can put a chemical in there that can make ants, who are the most community-minded animal hive creatures on the planet, to do it. You know what? Those same experiments are being done to the melanated communities. They don't want us strong. because this is what happens when we're strong, and this is where the stories were coming in. And this is what happens when you're strong. The kind of people I attract to me, especially the men who are very empowered spiritually the way I am, like, I don't care what you do. I got this. And I know how to call on this. And I'm in tune with this. I had one guy, he was like, yeah, both of them Black men. And I need every melanated light warrior to get to this point. And I'm calling us light warriors versus light workers because we're actually doing the work and we have missions. And, he was like, yeah, they tried to. But then I'm like, and he really says this with his whole chest. He was like, dude, I'm your father. So he's like this young Black man. But because of his spiritual knowledge and understanding of who and how powerful he really is, and this is just a 3D matrix, he literally talks to racist white cops, like in his mind and energy. He's like, I'm your father, and I came to save you. You're not going to talk to your dad that way. And I love it when he does that, because it's just like, that is what I want every Black person on the planet to walk in, that light. And I'm not joking. Like, literally, some Black people are scared to death of interactions with the cops. He doesn't care at all. And I was like, all of us need to get to the point where we know who we are so well, and the spiritual gifts that we have so well, and you've done the practice, and you know how to tap in, and you're tuned in, and you know you're always protected, you know how to call in the protection. You have no worries, no fears, no doubt. Doesn't matter about the white supremacy, but that's how you react. And it's funny because I just met another guy, his name's Andre, and actually I met him through a dating app, but like, I think we're just gonna be friends because he's super awakened. He's actually a genie, like his soul, which is why I asked him for wishes, but whatever. And so I know that sounds crazy when I say it, but like, all of you guys have different souls, and you really need to find out what your soul is, right? Like, you really need to. It's actually quite fascinating to me. And it's funny because we were just talking. He was like, yeah, I was driving one day and the cops were behind me, and it just made me feel uncomfortable. The energy didn't feel good. I started feeling fear. So actually, when he was driving behind me, I actually pulled over. I sort of pulled over to the side. And then the cop pulled over to the side too. And so what he did was get out the car with his hand raised, and he's like, I'm sorry, sir. I feel very uncomfortable with you following me. And he said it politely enough. And the cop was like, well, I can do what I want. I'm working. And he's just like, I'm just saying, I feel very uncomfortable. Can you please stop doing it? And he's like, the thing is, when I felt that energy of fear, I was like, no, we're not doing this. So I got out the car to change that energy, right? So still spiritual, still working with the, it's not just you. Like, and I don't know, he's like really, like, I think I'm up here, he's like up here, okay? Like, I texted him the other day, I was like, so are you practice quantum jumping? Yep, still practicing it. But hey, check out this quantum entanglement. I mean, like, we're on another level, right? He's more expansive than me, and which is why I'm appreciating that, like, I manifested him, because it's not just for dating, but like just for like meeting great people. And it was just like, yeah. And so I left, and the cop left, and I didn't see it. And when I told my family members about it, they were so scared. You can get shot. You can get shot. He's like, no, that's not what was going to happen. I was in tune with the energy. I felt it, and I said, we're going to change this, because you can change energy at the flick of your finger, which you can. So those are the kind of people I'm attracting to me, right? That's in my vibrational resonance. Those are the people I'm meeting, and I love it, because I'm meeting light warriors who are like, I've been doing diversity and inclusion for 20 years. Guess who's inviting me to the table? Like, I'm meeting people who are also melanated, who are for the melanated community, like me. We're positioned in 2020 to be right there when people need answers, and we have solutions. Like, we are strong. We know our mission. We know what we're here for. And I like those two stories about these two Black men, because the goal is for every Black man and woman to be so empowered, you don't care if a white cop pulls you over at all. At all, because they're not going to do anything, because you know that you can control the whole situation by bringing in your team like I do. Or I might just go, I actually speak telepathically, so I'll just put an intention into the air, like, you're going to treat me very respectfully. No, that sounds crazy, but you can do it. And if your vibration is stronger than the other people, a lot of people ain't doing the work. So if your vibration and your power and your energy is stronger, your FM overtakes their AM, okay? So with the drop of a hat, if you know spiritually and psychically and giftedly and faith-wise that you're going to change, or you're going to manifest, or you're going to get through it the way you want to, and it's not on them to control your fate, and you're sovereign, and you're powerful, and you're in your I am God presence, and you always walk like that, I need every melanated light warrior to be that way. So it does not matter. And you're not going to be another hashtag or statistic. And the reason I mention all this is because because the way I talk and what I've empowered myself. So even if no one listened to me, like I'm still walking through life like y'all ain't gonna do nothing to me that I don't want. And even if you try, I know how to call in the right people to get exactly what I need, right? I'm empowering melanated people like that. And it was interesting because I had an event where I was driving around in my city where I'm from, where my daughter lives with her father. And I was driving, I was about to make a right-hand turn. I was looking at my GPS on my phone because I had forgotten the location. Because when you used to live somewhere and you go back and visit, it's like you sort of forget where everything was because you haven't been there in 2 years. So I was trying to do that. And I'm driving, I was about to turn right. All of a sudden, I see this white guy jogging. And he puts out a hand and like, I didn't hit him, but he like backs up and he's just like, oh my God. And he says something like, I think he curses me out, but you got to understand when I drive around, I got my cloak on. Like if your negative energy is not going to, I don't know, your negative energy is not like, and my windows are rolled up, but he gets to the side and he just starts cussing at me. And I look in his eyes and I was just like, I said, sorry. But then he was so angry. I was like, dude, what more do you want me to do? Right. Like, and so I look at him and he's like on a 10, cussing me out. I'm sure all sorts of the N-words and B's was coming out that man's mouth. Okay. I couldn't hear him, but pretty sure I was being cussed the F out. All right. And so it was just interesting because my energy of where I am now versus my energy of 5 years ago, I was just like, I said, sorry. Clearly he's not. There's nothing, I can't reason with someone who's going that hard at me, okay? And I looked around, there were no cars, so I pulled off. And so the energy I'm in now, as you guys know, I've said this many times before, I'm like, wow, how'd that happen? Because most bad things don't get in my hemisphere because I'm usually I put protections and seals and whatever around me. And I was like, so why did that happen? My first thought was like, maybe the message from spirits, like to stop watching your map or GPS. But then I had another intuitive thought. I was like, you know what? It's one of those demons that watches light warriors like me, who was like probably trying to take advantage and try to bring some strife into my life. So I went home. And then when I got into a channeling session, I found out, yep, they're watching. And I do a great job when I'm home in here of shielding my energy. And I taught you guys how to do that. It does work. I shield this house every day. I cleanse this house every day. You ain't staying here if you're not supposed to be here. Okay. Very short. They don't even come nowadays. Okay. I do all of that daily. It's part of my daily spiritual practice as a light warrior. I protect myself. But when I left, I'm doing more of relying on my own self versus asking outside my dragons, my healthy ancestors to protect me. So lately I've been trying to figure out, because I have to experiment with different ways that I can control that fate. What can I do? How do I say it? How do I make it known when I walk out the house? I want to be protected the whole time I go in and out. And so I didn't do that. So they're able to get in because I generally have protection where if they try to do that, like they have my very, very healthy Native American grandmother is the one that's the super strongest. She's the one that taught me about tobacco and sweetgrass and all those other things. But you know, that Angelica root, that was like, oh, use this. It'll have more resonance. So you're not touching me. You're just not. You're not. Okay. I have some powerful ancestors. You shouldn't even be surprised to hear that. That's the lineage I come from. And so, and she's like 7th generations back, just FYI. And so I was like, wow, they really don't want light warriors like me to wake other people up. They are literally watching, which I knew because I've been warned about a month ago. Like, you got to be really careful about who you call in because there are trickster energies. And because of what you do, they are there. And I saw it happen. And the energy I'm in, I'm like, you're not going to pull me into a fight with some random. First of all, you're some white dude. And I'm sure you're racist. Like, even if you don't know you are. Like, unless you've done the deep work, you were getting super mad over this. So, like, where I'm at now, and my spirit was like, yeah, like, the thing is, you would have gotten into it with him back in the day. And I would have. Because before I had no chill. When you're just a warrior, but a warrior without compassion or any sense of balance, I mean, I fought everybody. I feel sort of bad sometimes when I think about all the people who didn't know when they were fighting with me that like I was going to go full metal jacket. Like, it's just when you're a warrior, you're a warrior. Some of you guys out there know that we just fight and we don't even know why we're fighting, but everything's a fight, right? Then I had to look back at my life and be like, why do I have so many fights? Like, this isn't, I don't know, like, why do I have to do this? And so, so this happened, and the lesson was, and it's really good that you didn't get involved, and that's a good lesson that you just sort of disengaged and left without having to go tit for tat. But he was crazy. Like, how are you gonna go tit for tat with someone that mad for almost being hit? Like, come on, what am I gonna do? I mean, I said sorry. You didn't get hit. If you would have, like, if he would have been nice, I would have been like, hey, oh my God, I feel bad. Are you okay? Are you hurt? We need to do something. Do we need to exchange insurance? Like, what? Like, I'm not trying to like flake on a fellow human who needs help, but he went to 12. All right. You should have seen the look in his eyes. He was so mad. But then I found out, they were like, that guy was actually, and I just found it, like, this term for the first time. It's called NPC. And I told some other people and they knew about that term. It's called non-player character. There are some people who have a human body, but they don't have a soul. They're created and they're used as a vessel, usually used as a vessel for the darker side. And so when we looked into it, we saw that he was actually, because I am who I am, they saw an opportunity to possess this soul, sort of make the situation happen, to try to draw me in. And the higher self said, if you would have gotten in and would have engaged, it would have really spiraled to a really bad end. Now, I probably wouldn't have let it, because I would have called in my ancestors and my dragon guides and my higher self in a lot sooner in my Ascension team. You guys have an Ascension team. A lot sooner before it would have de-escalated. But the purpose was to go as far down the vibrational pole in my life as possible. Okay, so it's also a heads up right now. Don't be getting involved in these shenanigans, because it might be one of these demons seeing that your light is starting to shine, who wants you to sit back down and stay down. Okay. So I'm just saying, because I was looking at some threads, they're like, I was going to go to my neighbor's house and do this. I was like, this, ever since 2020 has not been the time to engage, because you have more to lose and they know it. It's spiritual warfare. So I tell this story because for many reasons. One, well, I'm honored I'm doing enough work where they're trying to get to me like that. You know, that like I'm doing enough where they see Lisa as a threat. So what I'm saying, I hope you realize and resonates, is the truth. I'm not joking. I'm dead serious. It's sort of funny. I'm looking at my videos from then to now. I used to smile a little bit more. Now I have this more serious demeanor. But I don't know, like the truth is hitting more, like the not responsibility, but the role we play and how important this is just really sits with me. And so I'm like, okay, it must be doing some work if y'all are that trying to get to me and bring me down. 2, word to you guys to not and to not engage right now, like disengage. But also 3, that, you know, I'm doing something right. And we are the melanated light warriors, and we need to walk in that power. And I need it to not just be me and the friends that I attract. I need you to do it, and I need your family to call you crazy. And you're like, no, I'm not crazy. I just know I command, I'm in tune, and this isn't going to go the way you want. It's going to go the way I want it. And I've done the work to make sure I can do it. So it's not just you are powerful, but you've empowered yourself. You really feel that you are your I am God presence. I have to hit myself sometimes. I'm like, I'm not God, but like we are Sparker God, but like I say a lot naturally. I am my God presence. You know what I mean? And I mean it with my whole chest, right? And it's just, so all that ties in. So that is why when I speak to people now, I mention programming and agenda, and they don't push back. They understand it's going on too. But I also wanted to tell that story about the melanated warriors and what I went through. I mean, like I said, like I'm doing something right if they're trying to, like, you know. And I also wanted to say about that story is, like, you want to get to the point where when something happens to you and it's bad or low vibrational, you don't go, why me, or my luck sucks. You go, what was the lesson? And I learned a lot of lessons. I learned that I need to protect myself a little bit more carefully when I leave the house, unless I want to allow different things like this to happen with all those rando demons and low vibrational entities that are watching light warriors like me, who are empowering the melanated community, right? And I also learned about non-player characters are a real thing. Some people don't have souls. They were just made. It's like it's a video game. And, you know, I love telling the stories about the 2 Black men who walk so much powerfully and they don't care. And one's 26, one's like 36, whatever. not scared of white supremacist police officers at all. And I think those are models for everyone to do it. Now, you can empower yourself any way you want. And they've done it both spiritually, understanding who and what they are, their place, how powerful they are, and that they have the ability to change the energy or circumstances through their will alone. And they've developed that practice. But like, that should be a shining example to everyone. We are spiritual beings. This is not, earth is not it. Like, they want you to believe you're just your earthly spirit, but it's not, like, not at all. They don't want you to know how powerful you are, because if the melanated became into their power, they couldn't enslave all these people. They couldn't keep them enslaved. And they couldn't, but they're programming us just like with the ants. I mean, it's very, very deliberate. So yeah, when I talk about something now, I do say program and agenda, but I just say, hey, if you guys want to do that, like, you can too. Because I don't just say it because, oh, they're programming you. I'm aware it's a spiritual warfare against our people. So that is why I speak out against it. And specifically because you are Black or melanated, that is why they're programming you. So I will speak out, because once you know both the white supremacy aspect of it, but how it ties into the spiritual warfare, how can I be quiet, right? Like, no, you're going to know. You're going to know. Lovecraft Country was telling you what's happening. They're telling you what they're doing to you, and y'all don't know how to fight it or do this or combat it because you've disempowered yourself. So I just want to take any questions. They don't want you to share knowledge and enlighten us. Yeah, and I'll take it a step further. They don't want me to empower you guys. Every time I learn a new spiritual gift or trick or whatever, I give it to you guys, and you do it or don't do it. I do it because, like, I want you guys to walk as in faith and control over the power you have, as I do, because I know how calm I am. I'm so calm that when something like this happens, I'm like, that's weird. That don't happen to Lisa. Because I've done so many protections and made sure that I was. Well, yeah, I mean, they're watching. I mean, but like, honestly though, are you surprised? Because I'm mouthy. Stay alert. They really are. But the thing is, do you guys know that, like, Satan has a playbook and he watches to see where they can get in, and it's never going to be outright. It's always through some mechanism. Henry says, a lot of people are unaware and don't want to be open to this. I will say now I'm noticing I can speak on this and they're actually listening. I don't get the pushback anymore that I used to. Oh, what was the lesson? The lesson was there's a few that when they had already mentioned, my higher stuff had already mentioned to me that, like, I am being watched, like all light workers and all light warriors. So name one: Ashira, Star Goddess, Ralph Smart, all of them, all being watched. All the melanated spiritual people who are giving their knowledge were all being watched. So they had already told me that. And so they were like, because of that, they took an opportunity. So the lesson for me was like, unless I want to allow these different type of scenarios that can enter in at any point in time, I need to make sure I protect myself and my energy, and like set the intention of protection for myself when I leave my house, because I can't just protect my house and be protected here when I got to leave outside. So I have to make sure I say an intention or say a prayer that, like, my road will be safe and protected the whole time. So that was a lesson for me. It was sort of like not necessarily a lesson. Well, yeah, I learned a lot. Like, I didn't know that. I sort of knew that there were people who didn't have souls, but I didn't really know. But they're like, no, he's a non-player character, just like Filler in GTA. I'm like, what the? That's the more I find out about this Earth experience, the more it's like a video game and like a fantasy novel. I'm just mind's being blown. And I learned that they move through people. So that was the biggest lesson. And two, it was just, it wasn't so much a lesson to look back of like, dang, you came a long way, girl. Cause I know 5 years ago, you would have rolled down your window and said, excuse me. I don't even want to go into that energy. I'm not her anymore. But, oh, you would not have been talking to me like that. Oh, no, you're not. Especially, you're a man, you're white, okay? So you're probably racist, not because you're white, because I don't know, I can just sense racism. And it's always hard to explain to people, but it's just one of my psychic senses. I've always been able to sense it, and which is why I've been able to navigate around racism really well and help my platform do it. But like all those factors, I'm not sitting here getting cussed out by some white dude who's probably racist. And I was in Charlottesville, Virginia, and Charlottesville is very racist. So I'm just like, everyone there, like, They swear they're not. There's a reason that rally went out over there, okay? They swear they're not, up and down. And so, yeah, the thing is, it's like, it was also sometimes it's to see how far you've come, right? But I would tell anyone right now, don't engage. I mean, they are sitting there waiting for us to go to see if they can get us to go low and do some damage that would have some effects on us. Like I have a video a while back how to protect yourself, like against, if you're around people who've taken the V shot. But it's not just that. I'm not doing what I'm doing, shedding as much light as I'm sharing, and not protecting myself. And like I said, I'm going through a transition to rely more on self than my guides. So I did not have the oversight, because usually I'll ask my healthy ancestors, but they're like, they got lives too. They have spiritual lives, but I just forgot to set the intention or protection over myself. And so it's like, that's a wake up. Like, hey, when you leave your protected home, right? If you don't also set your protection on the road, this can be allowed in. So you might say, for some of you guys, you might be like, oh, well, it didn't end badly. But for me, I just don't want the extra time and traffic. And I don't want them to be able to be like, oh, I got it in, let's do it. So for me, a lesson for me was like, I need to up that unless I want to deal with random stuff that they're going to use in any way they can to try to get me to go lower or do things to derail the trajectory and trajectory that I'm going on. No, like it's literally, I mean, it really is like a video game at this point. The more I'm finding out, I'm like, is it Earth School or is it a video game? Like, what? Not NPC? Like, what? That's real? Just a vessel with a body that has no soul that can be used or possessed? Oh, another thing I learned about that Maxine, they said, what was the lesson? I also learned that, so sometimes when things happen like me, I'll send some light to people I think are being evil. And I also got a little smack, like, you can't do that because then you can really piss off some of these. So this was a demon possessing him. I didn't see the demon. It's just, when I went back and I was asking channeling, I was told they let me know there. And so there's low vibrational entities and then there's demons, right? That's different. This was a demon, which is a more powerful entity that you really don't want to mess with. And I also learned that, like they said, don't do that because that demon got really pissed off. You don't want them coming after you and getting negative karma or like some random low vibrational entity focusing on you, right? And it's fine. Like, they didn't do that, but it could have. So that was also a warning for my higher self. Like, we really got to be chill on that. And the other part of that part I thought was interesting. They also said, if you want, and like there's something wrong with people and you want to give light, next time just call divine cosmic justice, which is what I have to call it. It's like this tribe of like 12 spirits, a gavel that you can call in to get justice on people, divine cosmic justice. And you could say, hey, he's a sovereign soul. They do not have the right to be imposing on his free will and sovereignty. Well, he's not a soul, but he's a sovereign individual, and they don't have the right to impose on him without his consent. Can you guys please do justice? So I did that because they can go and do the work. So they're just waiting to be called. I called divine cosmic justice on everybody. I called them on Bill Gates. I called them on Fosse. I called them on Kevin Samuels. You can call on anyone. Just, they break a universal law, like, hey, like if you're doing evil or karmic, I want karmic justice done. There was a guy across the street who, like, there's this young kid who was like shooting at somebody, like right across the street. Like, I could see him. It was in my car. And I was like, what? I wasn't scared because, like I said, I'm protected. Y'all ain't doing shit to me. Excuse my language, but you're not doing anything to me. But I remember I called cosmic justice on him because I was like, y'all aren't going to be in my neighborhood with my kids doing that. So I'm actually doing an exercise where I like fill it with so much light that like like people who are like of low vibrational character are not welcomed within the white light, because I know the house that they were hanging out at. And so I'll call cosmic justice on anyone I'm like who I think needs it, because they'll take care of it if you're breaking the universal law. So I also learned, like, don't necessarily spread your light anymore, but just go ahead and call outside forces who are meant to deal if you think that there is someone there, because sometimes you just need people higher, beings higher than yourself when you're encountering this. So that was the other lesson. So, I learned in these things, I actually learn a lot. Once I get out of the situation, I calm down, can meditate and like find out like step by step what was going on. So I don't know. Yeah, probably up until I like learning new, I don't know. I like learning new tools to add to my repertoire, because I don't know. I have a feeling one day all these tools are going to come in handy, and I'm going to be in a situation. I'll know how to call on this and call on that and do this and do this and do this and do this, and I will be okay. Right? So it's just building the warriors up to be able to go to war. The old Anna used to be like that, girl. I only attract warriors to me for the most part. I really don't, like, my daughter's a lover, right? Not really a warrior. I only attract warriors to me, so I get it. But that's why I can have this conversation with you guys, because you know what I'm talking about. I had to learn a lot to let my emotions control me. Yeah. And I had to learn how to vibrate higher. Same. So, yeah, so that's what happened. So, any questions? What did you guys think about this talk? It was just like a really good talk. And I wanted to share because I talked about the people and the men that I know who aren't scared of the police, who are empowered. And I was like, this is real. This isn't fake. There's some of us who walk on this earth like this. And like you can too. And I want everyone who's melanated to, right? Because then they don't have any other control. Oh, so that's it? Nothing? No questions, no comments? Was this weird? I thought it was good. I just thought it was interesting, like information, honestly. Y'all know when I find stuff out, I like to share with you guys. Blue said, no, it's like literally a video game at this point. It really is. All right, if that is it, I am going to go to bed early. Oh, thank you, Anne-Marie. Oh, thank you, Blue. Yeah, I hope I hope the truth that I'm speaking resonates with you. And because at the end of the day, like I can't be a warrior on my own. Like it's not how it works. Like you need a team of warriors who also know they're warriors. That's how the real spiritual warfare is going to break through. And so many people just don't know how powerful they can be. And I want to give these stories to be like that powerful. You give 0 F's about what's going on. My friend was in jail, got him out within a week. Magic, pure magic. He even saw the angels I sent to cleanse the jail. He was like, everyone was actually really nice. I was like, yeah, because I was cleaning that place 6 times a day. Okay? It was not vibrating low in that jail. I asked the angels and they said, you literally changed the energy of that jail. Because I did a week, I was like 7 times a day, I was cleansing the energy. So I want people to walk that powerfully where you go to jail and you're just like, let me cleanse this place so thoroughly that everyone's nice to each other. They don't even know why. All right, that's how empowered I want. I think it's interesting too, Maxine. Oh, cool. Thank you, Katricia. What did you get from it, if anything? Thank you. You're welcome, Anna Marie. On point. We need to start protecting our energy, spiritual offense. Okay, tell me about that. Projecting energy. I've really been a little bit more defensive than offensive. And I had an incident. I was going to do like one of like my supernatural experiences because some of us all of us have had supernatural experience, but might have been like in your face. Where I almost don't even want to tell the story because you're going to think I'm weird, but it's really true. Okay, I'll tell you this, and then I'm going to do another video on like all the galactic beings who contacted me and why I think it's important for you guys to start doing your channeling. So you can get that assistance from your spiritual team who's waiting, because every time I talk to galactics or what you'd call aliens, it was always when I was doing the work to be able to communicate more with my higher self, my guides, and my star family. And every time you start doing that, and this is across the board, not just me, there's going to be times in your learning where things will step forward that was contracted. When you got to that point in your journey, it would come. And when you're talking about this, it's like one day I half woke up and they were like 2 green transformers. Now they're my mind's eye, like my third eye. It's clairvoyant then, right? And they were shooting me. And I remember at the time, I didn't think to shoot back. Like I almost want it to happen again, but I low-key don't. And my daughter was in bed. It was interesting because I would put a shield down. So I picture and visualize the shield, and I called in my team. I called in this team. I called in that team. I called in this team. And every time the shield would go down, I had to put it back, and I knew the shield would go down because my daughter was sleeping beside me, but she'd like move whenever they were green transformers shooting, right? Like, and I know it's like on one hand, I know it sounds crazy. On the other hand, like I was sort of tickled that I was in a fight because I'm a warrior. So sometimes you just like to fight. And I've been so love and light and high vibrational. I was like, I need a good fight. And we got through it. It was about 5 to 10 minutes. I can't tell which one. And they finally left. And I was like, what the? And then I did a channeling session. I was like, they're like, well, they contracted with you when you got to a certain point that they would do it, but you did exactly what you did. You commanded the light. You brought the light in. You brought a lot of light in, and that's what got rid of it. You've called in your light team. You brought in the light. You shielded yourself. It was cool. And at that time, this was about 3 years ago, I was like, wow. And I didn't know what to do. And like the thing is with spirituality, when you're really ascending, they're just going to send stuff at you. You don't get a warning. You learn through experience. I be getting so mad. Like when you saw my video about spirit attachments 3 months ago in January, I was like, I don't know. Like I like to learn it, but man, like it really is learned through experience. But I thought back to that time and I was like, so can I like shoot energy out of my hands? Like I'm like, how do I shoot back if they have like transformer guns and it's just me in my mind? And like I realized now I probably could have shot all sorts of things, you know. If you listen to my spirit attachment, I've learned how to create like a lasso of a bubble and like pull, you know, and do all sorts of things for spirit attachments. So when you say projecting your energy, I'm like, okay, what are you thinking? Because I did have that experience, and I was very defensive in what I did and commanding outside of myself the light and light workers to come and help me. But I do wonder if that ever happened again. Like, do I just shoot my hand out and like? I don't know. When you're working on the etheric level, there's not really rules. So I might go into a channeling session now that I'm much better at a channeler and ask like, hey, could I have shot them back? You know? And I don't even think it would have been wrong if I did. It's just different outcomes, right? Working with the light versus shooting back, retaliation versus getting a team higher than yourself to take care of the low vibrational activity. I remember when I first started watching you in a shares video. Now I'm finally stepping into my power. You've really changed my life just by being yourself. Blessings and good night. Oh my God. That makes me feel so good. Yes, queen. Yes, queen. You have no idea how happy that makes me feel, because when you are powerful, it resonates and emanates from you, and people will start looking at all of us different. That is so beautiful. Thank you. Interesting. Gabriel, the comment about spiritual offense. It was, yeah. I'm like, I never did it. I've really been on the defense and protection stage, but you know, maybe it is time to learn more about the offense. But I don't know if I want to go to war with his army, because more of them than me. That's why I try not to say things too inflammatory, because I am not trying to wave a red flag. Okay. I'm just trying to get paid. I'm trying to take care of my daughter. I'm trying to lose weight. So to totally trust my instincts, and I'll protect my light. Yes. Oh, yes. 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 Please, queen. Please, 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 please do that. Absolutely. I think all of you guys should be protecting yourself. And I've said that before, and I'm going to keep saying it because it's real out there. They don't want us. There's not that many of us who are awake and aware, and they want to pull us into shenanigans and foolery. Okay. They want to bring us down. And depending on where you're at, some of us might be more susceptible. So protecting yourself and creating that intention, I'm going to safely do this, or asking your higher self, like, can you make sure I'm, safe on this ride home, or I'm going to be a little bit more aggressive about it. Just because, like I said, I have goals and things I want to do. I don't have to be worried about some random demon trying to get at me because I'm not part of his team. Like, I don't want to, okay, what next time they're going to bring a little kid to run in the middle of the street? Like, I don't got time for that. Okay. So I'm just going to protect myself a little bit extra and not slack on that when I leave my protected space of the house. All right. Basically, crystallizing your intent in a spiritual shield weapon. You can project positive intent into crystals, jewelry, mantras. Absolutely. Okay, yeah. I've never tried that. Like, I've made, especially watching my spiritual attachment, I've made objects visually and mentally that have power, but never like a sword or a shield. But 100%, if you can make that to do that, you can also do something else to protect. So I don't know. Maybe I'll get another visit from the Transformers and I'll know how to fight. Or I'll just get tagged because I don't know how to bring the shield up. So what do you pray? What do you mean protect yourself before God? So before I was somebody who like really relied on my spirit guides and spirit teams, but my higher self was like, stop that. Like they got things to do, Lisa. I think I was acting a little bit more like they weren't my servants or anything, but I was like, my life is smooth. And before I'd go out, I'd ask my either healthy ancestors, my dragon guides, or to protect, I want to safely and gracefully make it to my destination and all the way back, right? So that's it. Just it's just you taking the one moment, the mindful moment to do that. And so now I ask higher self until I figure out another way, because my higher self is busy too. Like I'm really finding out on the spiritual world, like they all got lives and things to do. Like my guys did say, Lisa, don't worry, call us whenever, but they do have lives. They have like lives up there. And so like I'm literally like being like cognizant of that, and I'm being told about it. So so that's what I did. So now I'll just say, ask my higher self to make sure I'm absolutely safe and protected while I'm gone. So, I can do my healthy ancestors, dragon guides, angels, or I can just do my higher self. Higher self's been very clear that it's time. You're powerful enough to do it on yourself. So it's just, that's it. I always put easily and gracefully and safely. Like I use word like graceful because you can get home safely, but it's a mess. So I always put graceful, which is sort of, and I've been using the word graceful because that has a lot of power in the spiritual realm. They understand that means like graceful means like, yeah, not only was it a ride, but it was smooth and harmonious, right? I use that a lot. That's why when bad things happen, it's just so obvious, because when you're always putting those protections in place and things are going a certain way and not chaotic, like when it does enter, it's very, very obvious. Now, Charlottesville has a very low vibrational energy, so actually cleanse the energy of the entire city. Yes, you can do that too. Everywhere I go, I bless the place, I cleanse the place, I bring in good, beautiful, divine light source energy. People are happy, and they don't even know why. I think low-key they intuitively know because they smile at me, but I was just like, you all have that power, right? So yeah. So because that incident with me and the random dude in the car was in Charlottesville, which was very low vibrational. But yeah, so you could do it either way. Now, if you're religious, like just praying and saying God, like I have a friend, one of the other guys I met, I'm meeting a lot of people who are very awakened, and I meet them through like eHarmony and Match because I'm dating right now. But like they're not necessarily going to be boyfriends, but we're friends because like we both can talk on this level. He's very religious with it, right? But he's just as awakened as I am. So I was like, so what do you do? What would you do if like X and X happened? I'd call in God just to put in a shield of protection and dead serious, right? So just like I asked my higher self for this or that, or my ancestors, he asked God or prays to Jesus or whatever and asked for the same thing in his own way, shape, or form. But like they're both very effective. We're just using different spiritual entities. Gabrielle, I love that analogy again. Crystallizing yourself. This is the analogy. Yeah, Gabrielle, you're teaching me. I love it. I'll be the first to say I have my stories and I hope I can share, but like I learned from you light warriors as well. So I love when you guys give the comments and your advice, because I think we just need spaces to like go back and forth and share what we're learning and how we're empowering ourselves and becoming more powerful, especially in this matrix that they want me to be silent and humble and ashamed. They don't want me to be powerful, a light, and not giving an F what they think. And they don't want you to do it either. They absolutely don't want you to do it. They absolutely don't want you telling me the stories about my friends who are Black who look at white Reese's Cups like you ain't doing this. Can you imagine the change if this spread? So do you pray? Okay, yeah. So Gabrielle, love the analogy. Crystallizing yourself, sweet. I had pulled an oracle card last night from the Titan God deck. It was for the deity Garuda. Travel. The message was conscious travel. Yes, isn't that perfect? Because now every time I leave, because I just don't want to deal with the mess or allow any of those people who are watching me because I am spreading my light, I'm just going to fully protect it. I just don't have time to let things like this in because I'm being lackadaisical, because they are waiting for a weakness, right? Or you're not being as mindful or conscious. And they found it. And as soon as they found it the one time, they're on it. Garuda also had to do with the shape shifting, which is possible. And hello, Cornelia. So yeah, I'm going to end on that. I hope that was interesting and fun. And I hope the truth of it resonates so deeply in your soul that you walk around like can't nobody do nothing to you, because you are a light warrior. You're walking in your purpose. You're here to serve, and you have the power to create and control your world and the worlds of people around you. I want you walking so powerfully. No one can take that from you. And they're going to try. They're going to try and try. And I'm going to be like, listen, I'm going to show y'all how to protect yourself. Right? I'm going to show you all of that. I'm going to show you all of it. And do it because they are looking for weaknesses. And yeah. And like, I guess the title of it says, there is programming and there is an agenda. And I'm not going to be quiet about it because it's against us. Okay. Now, would I tell a non-melanated person about programming and the agenda? Probably not. Because, I mean, we're just on different wavelengths. Right. But if you're melanated, you're going to hear about some agenda because the spiritual warfare is on us. None of this is by accident. So I just can't be quiet on it anymore. All right. So, yes, please. Thank you. Hi, Captain. All right. Love you guys. Thank you guys for staying with me and watching it. And I will see you soon because I have a lot of videos I want to get out. But love you guys and take care. Bye.